As producing and exporting countries will be broadcast by the Algerian radio thanks to its network of correspondents.
محمد بن سلطان مبعوث الإذاعة الجزائرية إلى العاصمة القطرية الدوحة.
سي دكار ثم ناخذ السنغال كريم الحاج محمد وش قعدنا راديو ثغنت.
رابح هوادة مبعوث الإذاعة الجزائرية إلى العاصمة الموريتانية نقشو.
You can follow the event from February 29 to March 2nd on the waves and digital platforms of the Algerian radio.
With Radio Algeria International, you will not miss a single major political or economic event. Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
In today's top stories, Army Chief of Staff Army General Said Shingriha has said that Algeria has always defended and will keep defending just causes throughout the world, notably the Sahrawi and Palestinian causes. The Interior Minister Brahim Marad, who was received by the Tunisian President Kais Saied at the Carthage Palace in Tunis, said that Algeria continues under the leadership of President Abdelmajid Tebboune to adopt a participatory approach based on cooperation, coordination and consultation to address common security challenges. The President of the Republic and of the Sahrawi and Secretary General of the Polisario Front, Brahim Ghali, has affirmed that achieving true peace in North Africa depends on the respect of international humanitarian law, international legality and European law in Western Sahara. And as the Israeli army pursued its pounding of Gaza, the International Committee of the Red Cross ICRC said that humanitarian situation continued to deteriorate as the only few hospitals strive to remain operational. Hello and welcome to Radio Algeria International. I'm Jamal Samani. As you followed in our top stories, Army Chief of Staff Army General Said Shingriha has said that Algeria has always defended and will keep defending just causes throughout the world, notably the Sahrawi and Palestinian causes. During a two-day working visit of inspection to the 6th Military Region in Tamanrasset, the Army General seized the opportunity to reiterate Algeria's faithfulness to its principles of standing alongside just causes.
كانت الجزائر ولا تزال
Algeria has always defended and will keep defending just causes throughout the world, notably the Sahrawi and Palestinian causes, because the occupation is not a simple repressive practice against the occupied peoples, but also a violation of their identity, a theft of their resources, and a denial of their citizens' right to life. While the brotherly peoples are suffering both in Palestine and Western Sahara, reveals the most hideous forms of abuses committed against the civilian population, in particular children, women and the elderly, without any respect of the fundamental norms and principles of human rights nor the international humanitarian law.
حقوق الإنسان والقانون الدولي الإنساني.
The Army General also stressed that the establishment of the foundations for a strong and united international community remains the best solution to deal with human rights violations resulting from occupation, wherever they may be. Army General Said Shingriha also supervised today on the second and last day of his visit to the 6th Military Region, a tactical exercise with live ammunition called Hogar Storm 2024 in Burj Beji Mukhtar. Now, the Interior Minister Brahim Marad was received by Tunisian President Kais Saied at the Carthage Palace in Tunis. The meeting took place outside the 41st session of the Council of Arab Interior Ministers held in the capital Tunis, in which Mr. Marad has taken part. Speaking at the session, Mr. Marad said that Algeria always adopted a participatory approach based on cooperation and coordination with brotherly and friendly countries to take up to common security challenges.
Algeria continues under the leadership of President of the Republic Abdelmajid Tebboune, who has adopted a participatory approach based on cooperation, coordination and consultation to address common security challenges, using a global approach that takes account of the global requirements of the concept of security and its close link with development. Algeria is working to intensify its security cooperation with brotherly Arab countries and is doing its utmost to contribute to strengthening security, stability and development of its direct neighborhood, including the Sahel-Sahara region, which is facing multiple challenges and serious security threats which have exacerbated its vulnerability, making it a fertile ground for terrorist groups and cross-border criminal organizations, as well as waves of displacement and illegal migration, particularly those resulting from the negative impact of climate change on the stability of populations and on development efforts.
The Minister for Communication, Mohamed Lagab, has said in Algiers that all conditions are met to host Algeria's guests at the 7th Summit of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum, due to start on Thursday, hailing the role of the national media in supporting and covering the 3-day event. Speaking to reporters during an inspection visit to the Abdellatif Rahal International Conference Center in Algiers, in order to inquire about the latest preparations for this major international event, the Minister has this to say.
More than 6 television and radio sets and studios have been set up and several made available to journalists. As you know, over 2 months, the Algerian media have been ensuring a remarkable coverage in preparation for the summit by inviting experts to lead seminars, conferences and interviews. I congratulate the Algerian radio for the 300 hours of broadcasting time to cover the summit. The same goes for the Algerian television, which has sent correspondents abroad. I hail the role played by the Algerian news agency APS, which played a major role in the coverage of this summit. I also hail the International Press Center's role in monitoring everything published about the summit at home and abroad.
As you followed in our top stories, the President of the Sahrawi Republic and Secretary General of the Polisario Front, Brahim Ghali, has affirmed that achieving true peace in North Africa depends on the respect of international humanitarian law, international legality and European law in Western Sahara. Asya Bikar.
In a speech delivered on the occasion of the 48th anniversary of the proclamation of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, President Ghali has stressed that the real contribution that Europe can make in support of international legality is by ensuring that the Sahrawi people exercise their legitimate right to self-determination and independence, avoiding encouraging Morocco's annexationist plans and abandoning the signing of any agreement with the Kingdom of Morocco, which could violate the territory or territorial waters of Western Sahara. In this regard, the Sahrawi president condemned the policy of the current Spanish Prime Minister, who continues to stab the Sahrawi people in the back, following the path of the shameful Madrid tripartite agreements of 1975, which have not changed the legal status of Western Sahara and will not free Spain from assuming its responsibility to complete the process of decolonization of the territory.
Our people of the Sahrawi Republic, on its 48th anniversary, give their thanks, respect and recognition to all our brothers, friends and allies in the world, with Algeria at their head. This majestic country, with its great people and its brave army, which we congratulate for the profound changes it has undergone in the framework of the deep reforms under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune. It has not changed its position of support for the just causes and struggle of the peoples for freedom and self-determination, at the forefront of which are the Sahrawi and Palestinian peoples.
وفي مقدمتها الشعبان الصحراوي والفلسطيني.
The president added that any relationship established between the Spanish state and the Kingdom of Morocco to the detriment of the legitimate rights of the Sahrawi people would only contribute to the violation of international law, encourage the perpetration of new crimes, and stain the image of the Spanish state with the blood of innocent Sahrawis without contributing to the achievement of peace in the region.
As the Israeli army pursued its pounding of Gaza, the International Committee of the Red Cross said the humanitarian situation continued to deteriorate as the only few hospitals strive to remain operational.
The spokesman of the ICRC in Gaza, Hisham Mahanna, said these hospitals were lacking the essentials such as food, water, medicine and fuel, while recalling that the medical staffs were exhausted for having worked relentlessly for nearly 5 months. Evoking the difficult conditions the medical staff members have been facing, consultant surgeon at the Al Amal Hospital, Dr. Wahid Qudayh, had this to say.
We are here in Al Amal Hospital. We are not allowed to go outside the door of the hospital since 21 of January, and it's the first time we see the sun. We save lives, a lot of patients, and we did what we can in limited facilities.
Earlier, the executive director of the UNICEF, Catherine Russell, warned that a large-scale offensive, which the Israeli government planned to launch on Rafah in the southern part of Gaza, would be disastrous for the more than 1.4 million Palestinians who sought refuge in the area. She recalled that the population of Rafah, initially estimated at 300,000, has increased to 1.4 million people displaced by the fighting in the northern part of the territory.
Now, Algerian expert and senior researcher at the Oxford Institute for Energy Studies, Mustafa Oki, has said that the gas exporting countries forum is able to promote natural gas as a transition resource. Asabika.
Regarding the energy transition, the energy experts said the gas exporting countries forum is naturally well positioned to promote sustainable development and natural gas as a transition fuel. He added that the cooperation framework offered by the gas forum could also facilitate the sharing of experiences and best practices regarding the projects aimed at reducing carbon footprints, which are already initiated by some member countries of the forum. Mr. Oki shed light on the importance of the Algiers summit for Algeria and other gas exporting countries, stressing that gas exporting countries must be prepared to meet complex challenges. He went on saying that the holding of the summit meeting coincides with the 60th anniversary of the arrival in 1964 on Canvey Island in the United Kingdom of the first cargo of Algerian liquefied natural gas, a historic event since it marked the launch of international trade in liquefied natural gas. The Algerian expert added that the meeting is taking place in particular geopolitical context, referring to the Russia-Ukraine crisis, the new interventionist European policy in the management of gas markets, the emergence of the United States as the largest exporter of liquefied natural gas, as well as the European decarbonization measures. The researcher says that natural gas will keep playing an important role in the energy mix of several countries, especially in regions such as Africa, the Middle East and Asia. He added that exploration, production, processing, transportation and marketing of natural gas must be in line with the conditions of sustainability and reduction of carbon footprint. The energy expert stated that the energy transition will take time and will be implemented in different forms and horizons in different regions of the world. With regard to the growing role of Algeria on the international scene as a safe and reliable gas supplier, the energy expert underlined that Algeria can continue to play a leading role in supplying Europe with natural gas, given its geographical proximity with European consuming markets and the existence of cross-border gas pipelines linking Algeria to Europe. He went on saying that Algeria has also the advantage of having liquefied natural gas complexes in the western and eastern parts of the country, adding that Algeria will need to increase the volumes of natural gas destined to exportation while continuing to meet the national gas demand. He said this required, among other things, an increase in upstream investments to command the rapid growth in national gas demand and a reduction in the carbon footprint of the value chain of the gas industry.
Hello and welcome to our weekly program devoted to Algerian economic news. First in the news, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, has invited Mauritanian economic operators to invest in the free zone and to take advantage of tax and customs exemptions for trade and industrial exchanges between the two countries. In a statement issued after the visit in the company of the President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, Mohamed Ould Sheikh Al Ghazouani, during which they laid the foundation stone for the project to create a free zone for commercial and industrial exchanges between the two countries, the President of the Republic stated that Mauritanian goods and merchandise of clear origin are welcome and exempt from taxes, and the same is applied to Algerian products, inviting Mauritanian economic operators to invest in the free zone and take advantage of tax and customs exemptions. The Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Arkab, has received a delegation from the Australian mining company Lions Bridge, led by its CEO, Brian Wesson, with whom he examined the opportunities and potential for cooperation, investment and partnership in the mining sector. During the meeting, the discussions between the two parties focused on the opportunities and potential for cooperation, investment and partnership in the mining sector, notably between the Sonarem Group and Lions Bridge to launch partnership projects to exploit Algeria's mineral resources. The Minister of Fisheries and Fish Production, Ahmed Badani, has chaired a coordination meeting on preparations for supplying the national market with fish and aquaculture products during the holy month of Ramadan, during which he called for the national market's needs in fresh products to be covered. During the meeting, Ahmed Badani stressed the need to bring together all the favorable conditions to meet the needs of the national market in fish products during the holy month, in addition to preparing and equipping all the direct sales outlets belonging to province chambers or those located at local markets, Ramadan markets and fishing ports. Plots of state-owned forests in the province of Tisemsit have just been declassified for the construction of housing and public facilities by virtue of an executive decree published in the official Gazette No. 10. These declassified plots of land will be used to build a station to collect and transfer household waste in the municipality of Melab, a hospital in the Burj Bounama municipality, a school complex, a high school, and a water treatment plant in the municipality of Sidi Slimane. In more Algerian economic news, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Youssef Sherfa, has said that the conversion of pilot farms should help to ensure the country's food security by allocating them to strategic crops. These statements were made while he was supervising a national meeting of directors of pulses and cereal cooperatives and executives of the Algerian Interprofessional Cereals Office OAIC, devoted to assessing the ploughing and sowing campaign for the 2023-2024 season and presenting the state of progress of the expansion of storage capacities. The Minister of the Knowledge Economy, Startups and Micro-Enterprises, Yassine El-Mahdi Walid, has received the President of the National Observatory of the Civil Society, ONSC, Noureddin Ben Braham, with whom he agreed to organize initiatives in the field aimed at spreading the culture of entrepreneurship at local level. A coordination meeting was held to examine a number of issues relating to cooperation between the Ministry and the ONSC. In statements to APS, foreign experts in the field of energy and gas agreed that the 7th summit of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum GECF, to be held in Nigeria from 29th February to 2nd March, represents an ideal opportunity to chart the future course of the global gas industry against the backdrop of exceptional geopolitical circumstances with a definite impact on this strategic industry. Ulrich Bentebusch, executive director of the German company Gascade, which specializes in the international transport of natural gas, described the summit as an important global event and a platform for communication between gas exporting and gas importing countries, as well as an opportunity to exchange views on the development of gas markets. And to wrap it up, the gas liquefaction complex GL3Z, located in the Arzib industrial zone 35 kilometers from the city of Oran, western Algeria, is considered an important link in the Sonatrach Group's liquefaction and separation of hydrocarbons business. The GL3Z complex, which has a mega train with a production capacity of 4.7 million tons of liquefied natural gas per year, came on stream in 2014 and was designed to increase LNG production, said the complex's director Omar Bouri in a statement to the press during a guided tour of the site organized for the media. Liquefaction enables natural gas to be condensed and transformed into a liquid LNG, making it easier to transport by sea, he explained, adding that the volume of natural gas is reduced by 600 times, making it easier to store and transport, bearing in mind that this form makes it possible to reach very distant markets in Europe and Asia. And with this, we come to the end of our weekly program devoted to Algerian economic news. Goodbye.
South Sudan, one of the world's poorest countries, is dealing with the influx of hundreds of thousands of refugees from its northern neighbor Sudan, which has been in the grip of a major conflict between the government and the rapid support forces since April of last year. At the UN-run transit centers in Rank, UN staff are helping people to travel onwards to their final destinations in the hope of avoiding large numbers staying in this extremely remote, poorly resourced part of the country. A spokesperson with the UN Migration Agency, Yvonne Ndege, traveled to Rank to assess the conditions in the camp. She described the scene and the conditions on the spot to UN News.
Well, the conditions here are extremely harsh. There's hardly any water, any food, any sanitation, any security, any shelter. It's also one of the most remote areas in the country. Thousands of people have crossed the border just behind me from Sudan. Many of them are vulnerable, many of them are traumatized. We've spoken to women, we've spoken to children and the elderly who fled the terrible violence and have spent weeks, in some cases months, trying to reach this border, trying to cross into South Sudan to reach safety.
Hundreds of thousands of people displaced by the war in Sudan are being assisted in South Sudan by the International Organization for Migration. Over 500,000 people have crossed the border into Rank in South Sudan and are being assisted by the International Organization for Migration through onward transport assistance. Most of those arriving are originally South Sudanese people who had been living in Sudan when the violence started. The International Organization for Migration has assisted over 161,000 to return to their villages and communities of origin or reach other places of safety. Yvonne spoke to UN News about the assistance provided by the International Organization for Migration to the refugees.
Well, hundreds of thousands of people have crossed the border from Sudan here into South Sudan and have been assisted by IOM, the International Organization for Migration, through onward transport assistance. Now, this assistance is absolutely critical because what IOM and other UN agencies don't want is for refugee camps to spring up in this location because it is so remote. There is no infrastructure, there are no hospitals, there are no medical facilities, there are no resources of any kind for those vulnerable arrivals to tap into. This onward transport assistance is absolutely critical to avoiding the situation I'm describing, and it has involved IOM putting on over 1,200 flights away from Rank into Malakal, the capital of Upper Nile State. It's also involved sea transportation. Hundreds of thousands of people, as I said, are arriving. Over 100,000 have been helped to take boats away from Rank to Malakal, which is a 3-day journey overnight on the River Nile. Now, the conditions on these boats are also not ideal. They are overcrowded, but also a sign of just how many people have left Sudan and are trying to flee the violence and trying to get back to their communities of origin. IOM has also assisted people with some road transportation, again, to try to reach their communities of origin. But this assistance is simply not enough when you look at the volume of people arriving, and the funds to continue to provide this onward transport assistance are very fast dwindling and running out.
Spokesperson with the UN Migration Agency, the International Organization for Migration, Yvonne Ndege, who travelled to Rank to assess the conditions in the camp, met with a number of migrants who told her about their journey.
The conditions that they describe, what they witnessed, is completely horrific. Some say they fled violence, some say they fled bullets, some say they experienced sexual violence along the journey, some say they spent many days in the bush trying to reach this border. We spoke to one family, a mother with her 2 daughters and her own mother, who travelled all the way from the Sudanese capital, Khartoum, to reach this border and cross into safety. She was very traumatized, very upset, but thanking God that she had escaped with her life, as she put it. We spoke to another man who said that his whole family, him and his sons, were being forced to actually join the fighting. They were going to be forced to join the violence. They didn't want to, and so one night they decided to try to make this journey and have spent weeks trying to reach this border to cross into South Sudan.
According to the UN official Ms. Yvonne, the current conditions in Rank put the migrants fleeing violence at high risk of famine.
Well, there are massive concerns about the risk of disease, of hunger, and of further violence. This is one of the most remote places on earth. There's hardly any infrastructure in this area. There's no mobile or internet network of any kind in this area. There is no food supply in this area. There is no water in this area. So the risks and the concerns about diseases spreading are real. IOM, the International Organization for Migration, has been receiving people just at this border, providing vaccinations to people, medical checks to those arriving before they are transported into the main town of Rank for further assistance and care from IOM staff.
An estimated 420,000 people are expected to arrive in South Sudan from Sudan this year. $32 million will be needed to provide onward transport assistance for 150,000. But a major cash crunch is looming, says International Organization for Migration, which will affect this critical and much needed assistance for those arriving.